hot bill weekend hon in campaign of ikon chibai tu ne hol impidi guest o hi le Jayant Mahajan ahi ama hi le Christ University Punia professor ahi himale sabbatical kum khadala wai bang jagala hi am chile change before climate change chi campaign bolding ahi 20,000 kilometers cycling along Indian border journey of 20,000 kilometer chi ahi cycle bangza associated ye kilometer bangza heat wave cold weather hi lole risk bangza lot de hope dia. Thank you so much, Sir Jayant, for coming to our show.
Right, thank you.
You're a professor in Christ University. You have finished MBA. You have got a degree from one of the best institutions that is symbiosis.
Yes.
What makes you to choose take sabbatical and ride all crisscrossing the country?
The multiple things which motivated me to take up a journey, something like this. One, of course, is I enjoy cycling a lot. So for the last 10 years, I have been cycling, and it started as a small hobby and like exercise. But I started enjoying it, started going long distance. I started cycling in Himalayas and all the mountains nearby, and I developed a love for cycling. That's one of the reasons. The second is, of course, I wanted to explore the country, meet people, experience different cultures. And of course, there are multiple ways of doing this. One is I can just travel, take a flight, take a train, take a bike, car, and go around, go to different places and experience it. But that's more of a touristy way of doing things. I wanted to go as a traveler, as an explorer, where I can go connect with people, connect with the place, connect with the culture. And also, climate change is, as a cause, is very close to my heart. So I have been working on this in this area actually for a long time, almost since my school days. So tree plantation, afforestation activities, awareness programs, building sustainable business models. So those are the things I have been working on for a very long time now, and I wanted to run for this cause. So these multiple motivations actually came together, and they form a foundation of this journey.
You are crossing 50, half century.
Almost, yes, yeah, right.
How daunting it is physically to take up 20,000 kilometers on cycle road trip?
So 50 is actually not old. Okay, I have seen people, I've met people who are at least 10, 15 years older than me, who are undertaking a similar journey. So, for instance, I met a person. His name is Don. He's from Sweden, and I met him in Lavasa, actually, the place where I am. Okay, and he was traveling the entire country, India, on a bicycle. He's 68 when I met him. Okay, 68, 69. That's the age group. And then he didn't even know the language. The only language he knew was English. But the enthusiasm and the zeal with he wanted to explore the country was amazing. So there are still older people who are doing it. So point is, 50 is really not old. And I have been, by and large, an outdoors person myself right from my childhood. So rock climbing, long distance swimming, long distance trekking, so I have been into that for a long time. So physical endurance was not much of an issue, so yeah. And then once you want to really, you set your mind on something and you really want to do it, I think all these things you can overcome very easily. That shouldn't be a problem.
Where did you start the project, and how many kilometers have you driven? Where is your next route?
So I started this journey on 23rd of January from a place called as Nadabet, Nadabeth, Nadabet. This is in Rann of Kutch in Gujarat. That's right at the India-Pakistan border. Right, that's where the India-Pakistan border starts from, and then it further extends alongside of Rajasthan, Punjab, right till Kashmir, Ladakh, that way. So I wanted to start from the 0 point, they call it, where the India-Pakistan border starts, and then conclude at the 0 point. That was my broad plan. So I started there on 23rd of January. I took the India-Pakistan border, cycled along with it. Then the coastal part of Gujarat, down the coastal part of Maharashtra, the Western Ghats, which is called as Konkan. Then Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Kanyakumari. Then started moving upwards from Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Orissa, West Bengal, a sneak peek into Jharkhand. Then Jalpaiguri, entered into Assam, Dhubri. Yeah, Dhubri, then took a crossed over Brahmaputra by a launch into Fulbari, went to Tura, Meghalaya, Shillong, Clariat, again back to Assam in Hailakandi district, Katrichela, Karimganj, that area. Then from there entered Tripura, from Dharmanagar, then did what's that, Agartala, then Sarbum, then back to Panisagar. From there I entered Mizoram, in a village called as Kanmun, from Kanmun to Aizawl to Champai, Zukartha, Burma. So there's from Aizawl you connect right into Burma. So I went there, back to Champai, then Silchar, and now
So
here
the whole,
in
the
Manipur.
whole journey is taking how many months now?
About 7 months I'm on the road now. Yeah.
7 months on the road without going back home, all totally in cycle, or how do you connect the routes?
No, so I did go home twice on the way. I took a small break because my parents are alone. So at least initially I had to help them settle down, this whole idea. And in between, when I was somewhere in Andhra, there was voting happening in my village, my town rather. So I wanted to exercise that right. So I wanted to go and vote. So so I traveled on 2 occasions. So I had taken a week's break in between. And yes, most of this journey, so far I've done about 10,500 kilometers of the 20,000 target which I have.
10,000.
About 10,000, 10,500 is what I've done so far.
How many cycles have you spoiled, and how do you manage it?
So what happens is, so during this journey, from Gujarat till Konkan there was no problem. Western Ghats is like a lot of hilly terrain, right? But then yes, being on the home ground, I did manage somehow, right? When I left Goa, again it was a plain area, right? So right from Goa till Jalpaiguri, there are no mountains as such when you're going through the edge of the country. So then it was easy cycling. I mean, you could really do 110 kilometers a day, there's no problem. There are occasions where you kind of get stuck at night, or there's some issue with the cycle, then you kind of put it on the bus and then you move some distance. So I do take help of public transport in the situations like that. But by and large, it has been on a bicycle, about 70% of the journey.
Have you come across any interesting incidents, stories where people are suspicious of you? You don't get a hotel, or you have to sleep in the jungle? Or is there any interesting story?
Oh, I have plenty of interesting stories like this. But out of all these interesting stories, there has never been an incident where people have been really suspicious of me. Most of them would actually come out and support me in case of some issue. But yes, so I have stayed in those dharamshalas, in some very isolated churches. I have stayed on a footpath. So in fact, there was a time when I was crossing Andhra border into Orissa, there were 2 sadhus who had taken a similar journey, but they were on a very simple cycle. They were just visiting all the major temples in the country. That was their objective. So they don't stay in a hotel and all. So I decided to cycle with them. So they would cook on the roadside and then just sleep on the footpath. So I also did that with them. And at night we used to have a lot of political and philosophical and religious discussions. So we did that for 3 days, slept on the footpath. There was times when I was stuck in the jungle, and then there was a driver, of a big trailer, and that trailer is a big cabin. So I slept in that cabin, with the drivers. Couple of times it happened. So there have been times where I have been stranded, and then you kind of sleep in a footpath or a truck, or some isolated school somewhere like that. So yeah, there have been, but then there have been some great memories where you go and stay in some army base and officers' quarters, and so it's a spectrum.
Let's talk about the climate and weather as a cyclist. Like down south and in the north, sometimes the temperature is 45 degrees. How difficult it is to endure this kind of different heat wave and how
It's difficult. It's difficult. I started on a good note. So when I started in January, February, till about March, in Gujarat, it was a pleasant climate till I reached Goa. From Goa onwards, I really started facing the heat in its sense, especially when I crossed Trivandrum. It was really getting peak summer. So I just changed my strategy a bit. So earlier I would cycle throughout the day, but the moment the summer started building up, I would start early in the morning. By 4:30 I would start cycling and continue till about 9, 10, 11, right, and take a long break in the afternoons, and then again cycle after 3:30, 4ish when the sun starts kind of going down, and then you continue cycling, right? So
how do you maintain your fitness in terms of diet, because eating timing, you don't have the same food? How challenging it is for you as a cyclist too?
So food has never been a problem for me actually. Only there are few things which I avoid for my own health reasons. One is I don't eat maida at all, refined flour, anything to do with it, because somehow it's not good for my stomach. And deep fried stuff is what I avoid. But rest, any desi food, I'm okay with it. So you have sabzi, roti, dal, chawal, or anything boiled. I mean, I enjoy the veg food in Northeast. I quite like it, or even South Indian idli, sambar, everything. So all the desi food is really good for health, and then just ensure that I eat on time. So have a good breakfast, a good lunch, early dinner, So just kind of maintain the diet pattern. Drink a lot of water, drink a lot of fluid, and I think I've really had no major issues with my health as such, except once I felt a little feverish in Goa. That was for a day, but otherwise, touch wood, everything has been good in the health front. Yeah.
Okay. To ride more than 20,000 kilometers,
Yeah.
as you've told me that it's taking lots of time, energy and effort.
Yes.
What about the finance? You just start with whatever budget, or do you have a fixed budget? I need to have this much of budget so that I can fulfill my mission.
Yeah. So this is like I've taken unpaid leave, right? So this is not really a sponsored trip as such. It's going through my own budget. So I did my financial planning. I calculated about 1,000 rupees a day for my daily expenses. That's my calculation. So it comes to about 3.5 lakhs is what I kind of kept aside. And I'm able to actually manage in that budget. Sometimes it's very less, sometimes it's a little more, but on average, I'm spending about 700 to 800 rupees a day. That's an average which I'm spending, right? So it's a little, in fact, well within my budget. The other expenses which I've had is like buying my cycle, which is about some 51,000 rupees, and all the accessories which go around with it. So everything put on my bags and the carrier and a lot of other things which go with it. So it's come to about 85,000-90,000 rupees, everything put together. That's my cycle, and my operational expenses of about 1,000 rupees a day, which I have budgeted for. When I was working, I have been planning for this journey for some time, so I kind of kept that amount aside for this journey.
You have been traveling from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from south to north, and you are crisscrossing most of the states.
Yes. So
so many states,
yes,
from north to south.
Right.
Let's talk about how interesting is the diversity of India in terms of food, culture, people.
Don't even get me started on that. I mean, it's extremely diverse. Extremely. What I see in Gujarat is completely different from what I see in Maharashtra. Is completely different what I experience in South. And normally, you would club everything as one South India, But when you go to South India, Kerala is so different from Tamil Nadu, it's so different from Andhra, So when I say differences, of course, in terms of its language, it's the way you dress, the culture, the food, the temperament of people. Like for example, when I was in Kutch, it was an amazing start for my journey. People are so nice. They just come and take. I could literally walk into some house and say, Hindi, Bhaiji, main yatri hu and I need some help, And they would just open the door. I could just stay in village's house, They would just take care of my food, everything. It was so easy. But then when you come, typically in that Konkan area, people are a little closed. They're a little reserved and very, It's my own home state and I speak the same language. But still, it was not as easy as I found in Kutch. You know, so the temperament is completely different. Of course, Kerala, Tamil Nadu people, they prefer speaking only Tamil. You know, so it's a little difficult to get across. But of course, fortunately, I had friends everywhere in every major city, so it was easy for me to get by. But as a tourist, yes, you'll have some different experiences. You know, or like a regular traveler with no connects, then you'll have a very different experience. So yes, the country is really very diverse in terms of its food culture. One thing which is common is when you leave Gujarat and start from Konkan right till whatever I see in Northeast, everybody eats dal chawal rice. You know, rice is a staple food. The variety of rice would be different, but yeah, it's a staple food. So that's one common thing. You know, so I've been eating dal chawal rice, fish curry everywhere. So you know, and then that kind of works well.
Let's talk about Northeast.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different from the plain areas. So there's a lot of mountain terrains. The terrain.
Yes, yeah.
How challenging it is as a cyclist to explore Northeast?
Yes, Northeast has been a difficult terrain for me to navigate. So from Goa till Jalpaiguri, no issues. Even Assam was no problem, right? Tripura was little easier, right? Meghalaya was very difficult. So Meghalaya, and in fact when I entered, it was the Tura part was completely flooding. So then I had to actually put my cycle on a bus and take it. In Northeast, I did take the support of a lot of public transport. Because there's some areas which are flooding. B, the roads were not in a great shape. In the sense, like they were, like especially in Mizoram, I was actually trying to cross from Khalkhul, Kakwon, you know, into Manipur. So I almost went to the border, but then my cycle was half in the mud. You know, so there was no way I could cycle, and my wheel got jammed. A lot of mud went into all my wheels and the gear and everywhere. So I had to actually retreat, and then again there was no way I could cycle back. So there was a truck which was going to Silchar, so I put it and came to Silchar, and from there I cycled, you know, to Jiriban, and then I entered. So in Northeast, I'm finding it quite difficult because of the road conditions and the terrain. So I do use public transport, and especially there are some areas which are sensitive. So then I take help from CRPF. Like from Jiriban, I came here, I took help of CRPF convoy, which was coming to Imphal, you know. So I take help of different government units. Sometimes I stay in the forest office and, you know, the forest guest houses and stuff like that. So I do that.
How do you find the people of Northeast in terms of friendliness? Because we are mostly cut off from the mainstream India.
Yes.
People thought that Northeast is something very different. People are not so much aware, until just recently.
Yes.
Do you have any problem coming here, and do you think people are different from that?
Not at all. In fact, you know, just like sitting in Mumbai or any northern part of India or western or northern part of India, you put all the South Indians in one basket, right? It's only when you go there you find, Andhra is different from Kerala, is different from Tamil Nadu, and people are really different. Same, of course, I mean, you've stayed in Pune, you've stayed in Mumbai, you would know. You know, anybody coming from Assam or a Tripura or a Manipur or Mizoram, or Nagaland, they're Northeast, all same, right? And that's a perception that you carry. But having come to Northeast, I am overwhelmed with the whole diverse culture, the diversity that the entire state has. You know, so when I entered from Jalpaiguri into Assam, so Tripura and Assam, I find it by and large the extension of West Bengal. You know, it's very similar culture, similar temperament of people. But the moment I entered Meghalaya, there are one of the prominent tribes there is Khasis, and there are some other tribes also. Garos, yes. Garos, I found them quite friendly. Khasis, I don't know, somehow I find them as a tourist very closed and reserved community. So they won't really open up so easily. So even if you go and ask for help, it really doesn't come very easily, you know. So there I had a little insecurity and a bit of fear, you know, so as a outsider. But then I managed my way through. But the moment I landed in Tripura, again, I found it almost like an extension of West Bengal, a lot of Bengalis there. But even the natives are very nice and friendly. Mizoram was exceptionally nice. You know, I believe that whole of India, has a lot to learn from Mizos. Maybe I'm sounding really biased because of the wonderful experience I had there. But I was amazed, because I went to Aizawl, and it is a city as a policy, they have no honking policy. The roads, the terrain there is so tough. It's steep, right? The whole city is built on mountains, a huge steep mountain.
On a cliff.
Yeah, on a cliff actually. No, mountain is the wrong word. It's a cliff, right? The roads are very narrow. Despite that, people are so cool, calm, composed. They'll give each other a way. They don't have to honk. They still find their way. That civic sense is amazing. Actually, I witnessed an accident. Normally, in any other part of the world, when there's an accident, somebody comes and bangs your car or bike, there'll be in Hindi, tu meme, you did this, I did this, there'll be fight, road rage and stuff. There I didn't see. They actually came together. Okay, see what's wrong. Yeah, there was an initial fear and something. But they checked, are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, they shook hands and just went their way. It was like amazing. So I think in terms of civic sense and governance and maintaining your composure, the whole of the India has a lot to learn from Mizoram. You could the kind of help and support it will take a little time, but this is a very interesting experience. So when I was in this village, Khalkul, it was a village, right? There was I couldn't find a restaurant. I was very hungry, so I just walked into a place. It looked like a restaurant. A round table with a lot of chairs. I thought it was a restaurant. So I just went, and there was a Mizo lady sitting there. So I placed an order for the food. I said, give me some veg Mizo food. She didn't understand what I was saying. So I called up a friend who could speak Mizo and English both. So I said, I'm here in the Mizo restaurant. Can you explain this lady to give me Mizo food? So they spoke something in Mizo, and the lady started laughing. So I wonder why is she laughing. So, but anyway, after that she went to the kitchen and put a lot of wonderful, nice food in front of me. And I started eating. Then I started observing things around. I said, I think there's something wrong. This is not a restaurant. This is a house. Because then husband came in and some kids are there, and something happened. So then I started getting a little embarrassed and uncomfortable, because I've come in the house, somebody else's house, placed an order for a food and treating this as a hotel. But the lady was super cool, and the husband came, and then she spoke to the husband. He also understood what happened. He came, clicked photographs with me. Then we started kind of chatting. So it was an amazing experience. That lady could have just shooed me out, but she actually gave me food. And so Mizoram, I found it very beautiful. Then of course my journey into Manipur. So despite of I was actually having a lot of second thoughts before even coming to Manipur. Though of course I had spoken to Pastor Manga, and he explained me, you'll be fine, but still, of course, I had a lot of suggestions. Don't go, because there's a lot of tension and so on and so forth. But I said, having come a long way here, I must at least see Manipur. So, and thanks to CRPF network. So I piggybacked on the CRPF convoy, landed in Imphal. I stayed in the CRPF unit. Here also I'm staying with one of the battalions. So I said, let me, what can go wrong? Let me just go and explore. So I went to Imphal and explored the city, right? And I landed in Churachandpur, and the kind of support and warmth with which everybody has received me, it is very heartwarming, So people are really very beautiful. So
except the politics.
Unfortunately, yes. So this I would actually refer.
The land is beautiful, the people are beautiful, the politics is bad.
It's really bad. So I would refer to this pledge, that we take as school children every morning. India is my country, and all Indians are my brothers and sisters. So when you see your brothers and sisters fighting, it is heart-wrenching, and you just hope and pray that it all settles down as quickly as possible, and you start living in peace and harmony the way it was just about a year back. So I really hope and pray it happens. Yeah.
So what difference does it make a single man with a cycle going 20,000 kilometers all across India? What message and impact can one environmentalist can do to the whole community of India, such a big country where all our rivers are very smelly and lots of industrial waste? And if you come to Northeast, you can see zoom and shifting cultivation, lots of deforestation.
Yeah.
So what is the main message? Do you think you're going back, spending 1 year, lots of money, time and energy, and then you are accomplishing a mission? Is your self-satisfaction is just enough, or how much awareness can you bring to the masses?
So when I started this journey, I had this question, and many of my friends also asked us a very similar question. One professor with one cycle, and that's one banner which I carry. I'll show it to you. Okay, that banner that which has a message of change before climate change. Who's going to listen to you? Right? You're just cycling around, and so there's so many activists already working. What difference are you going to make? So, and they're right. I asked the same question to myself. So I don't expect any groundbreaking results where you kind of shake the world. But yes, I believe I am in my own way making a positive difference. In the sense, it all started when I started cycling in Gujarat. I was just Gujarat. The Kutch is a huge desert. Hundreds of square kilometers is all white desert. There's nothing, barren land covered with salt. Right. So I was cycling there alone in the desert, and then the one biker who was doing a similar journey across the country from Bangalore. His name is Yashas. He's there on my Insta. So he saw me, and then he stopped over, and then we got chatting, and he said, he was quite inspired that this old man is cycling, so I look old, with my grey hair and all. So how come he's cycling, so then I told him the cause of change before climate change and non-polluting vehicle and so on and so forth. So he also got inspired. He said, I promise you that when I go back to Bangalore, I'm going to stop using my motorbike and car as much as possible and start cycling. So I said, a lot of people say like this, but then when you go back, it's going to be same. So I said, then I said great, and then forgot about it. But it was just about a month back. He sent me a WhatsApp message saying that this is my new cycle. Wherever I go, I try and cycle. If not, then I go to the nearest metro and then take a metro. And this is my bike and car kept in the garage. Very minimal use. And of course, he also started tree plantation and stuff like that. So there are many instances like this where I managed to inspire people. Small school children who later get back to me saying that, okay, we heard you and we said this. So yeah, in a way, with all the little means and resources that I have, it has been creating those small positive ripples, and I think that's good. So at least there are some lives which are changing. So some people are looking at this entire climate issue differently and decide to pull up their socks and do something about it. I was in a school, in St. Xavier School. This was in Gandhi Dham, near Kandla Port in Kutch. So after my entire session, there's one boy who came to me. He asked me a very similar question. Okay, he's 7th standard, small boy. I never anticipated that question to coming in from a small boy like him. He said, sir, you plan to go 20,000 kilometers across the country alone, right? And speak to so many people, do this, don't do this, climate is deteriorating, and you should do these things so that you can save the earth and so on and so forth. If nobody listens to you, how would you feel? I was so surprised for that kind of a question coming from a small boy, So that actually, I had never thought about it. Okay, so I gave it some thought, and I said, I told him this, at least I would sleep peacefully with the thought that I did my best and put all the efforts I could, for this cause, and made whatever little difference I could, right, in my capacity. So if this efforts amplify, is good, I'll be happy. If not, then at least I would be happy that I did my best. And it's not actually me alone in this journey. It's I have a friend called Rupesh Rai. So he initiated this journey from Delhi to Madurai and back. So we have Mr. Pradeep who's done similar journey across the country for the climate. We have a lady, Aparna, she's from Wayanad, Kerala, where that incident happened recently, the landslide in the... So she's from there. She cycled from Kerala to Gujarat, Somnath temple and back. So there are quite a few cyclists who are associated. There's a person who's cycling for, say, the glaciers. So there are quite a few cyclists who are associated with it, and we're trying to build this as a movement. So we kind of cycling in different parts of the country with the same message and trying to make a difference under the same banner of change before climate change. So we as human beings have to transform our habits, change our habits, and adapt eco-friendly, sustainable lifestyle, so that we stop having negative impact on the climate.
Can you tell the audience back at home, what are the few things as a human being, how we can save the environment and fight against climate change? Some basic which they can apply at home.
So there are 5 R's. So of course, climate change is a much larger issue, and it has government and corporates have to really work on it very proactively, which I unfortunately find they're not doing it. Talking a lot but not doing. However, at individual level, it doesn't mean that just because the larger corporations are not doing enough, I should also stop, or just leave it to them. So at least at individual level, there are 5 R's which I always recommend people to follow. In fact, I was speaking about the same thing in the school also yesterday here. These 5 R's are refuse. Then okay, first is refuse, then repurpose, then is reduce, recycle, reuse. So refuse, repurpose, reduce, recycle, reuse. So refuse is like, for example, somebody gives me water in a plastic bottle. I know plastic is not good for the environment. The first thing I do is refuse. So I have my own water bottle which I carry. I've got 3 of them like this, right? And I try and carry my own water bottle and use it throughout. Even during my journey, maximum I did not use any plastic water bottle, at least not on my own, right? So just go to a petrol pump, fill it, or go to some hotel and fill it and go on using that water, right? So refuse. So anything which comes in plastic, or anything which comes to you which you think is environment unfriendly, refuse. So if I can go from point A to point B by cycle or walking, then refuse to use a motorbike or a car, right? So refuse. If you cannot, so there are times where you have no choice, you have to take that water bottle, because that's the only option available and you're really thirsty, right? So then try and repurpose that water bottle. So I have a lot of plastic bottles at house, so I probably cut them and then make a garden out of it, so put a lot of soil and then make a nice hanging garden out of it. So I have friends who do that, right? So what I'm doing is I'm taking that and repurposing it, using it for different purpose. So it doesn't go as a waste, it's still in my house, I'm doing it something else with it. So repurpose. Once even that is served, then you reduce it, so a lot of plastic garbage you probably shred it to pieces, right? Reduce it and then recycle it, right? Make something else out of it and then reuse it. So I have seen, I was in Pondicherry. So there is this German couple who, as a part of the Arrowville project, they've taken some 60 acres of land, barren land, and they're afforesting it. So there are a lot of volunteers who come and stay to work on that afforestation project. So there they have built houses which are made out of boards, right? Plastic, but those boards are not made out of wood or anything else. It is basically they've taken a lot of Tetra Paks and plastic, shredded into small pieces, hard compressed it, and they are like very thick, strong, sturdy boards. And they have used it to build houses. You can build furniture out of it. You can do whatever. So what I'm doing is reusing it, right? So at least if you can follow these 5 R's in your daily life, one is of course refuse. That's the best thing to do. If you cannot refuse, then at least take that and repurpose it. Use those Tetra Paks, plastic, or whatever you have for something else, right? So refuse, repurpose, reduce, recycle, and reuse. At least this much if you can do in your daily life, I think you will be able to make some positive difference. Yeah.
That's a very interesting story. So when do you expect to reach back home, and what is your route?
My original plan was about a year, but the way I'm going, I'm really taking it very slow. So like my Manipur journey was like 2 nights and then out. But I probably ended up spending here for 2 weeks now. So I like the place so much, and it's all thanks to you. Everybody here in Manipur and Churachandpur here. So I probably will take 6 months more. So maybe my original plan was to finish my journey by Jan 25. But it'll, I think, go up till at least March, April 25 or so. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you very much. Right.
This is so much the need of the hour. Lam ka hopi so plastic bangza umay le. Ilui teo bang sina umay. To achen hi singkung bangza ki suanay. Midang line temperature bangza hi degree. Tu line hi singkung lo sien. Gua tui hi rainfall hi lo le temperature. I river le stream teo. pollution lam ka copy so i hui hip teu bang tu ni e tam te ngai tu na je hi pasal khan cycle line kilometer sang ni tho so ma tam mi gal boi lai ta ni environment conscience ni climate undan ki khel ma sang nang khelin change before the climate change chi hi tam banga holim pi Jayant to ki pa thu igen wa tam mi holim na pa din hi am ka mi pi ten jang hi plastic sa so tom wa sing kong pa da wa plantation lang ha bol wa air pollution ding don din hi petrol sign cycle ha sa wa tam na gen out khar hi le Holland gama mi million khat chaw mi ai na la cycle million ni hi tam mi ne et sa bang ye chile mi tam join dam the ding cycle tho wa lam ka jo hi terrain ye dai le cycle thon ding a ideal ma ma hi ta jeni cycle ha za wa say no to plastic petrol hi le environment ni the di te top san wa tu ne holimpi Jayant to ki pa thu gen wa hon bilen tu te zo si phat kom na nei chen ging tar ho ka sa en tu te zo sen tu pa tu kang gen na op nom la bang tha